first elected in 2005. She was the youngest woman ever chosen to the commission in Dayton. But as of right now, I just want to say how proud I am of her. I'm sure that you're all just as proud that Nan Whaley is here to give us a great speech tonight. Nan Whaley, Mayor.
Well, it's so great to be back here and see some of my great friends here in Stark County, and even some friends. Instead, it was a city attorney who told me there had just been a mass shooting in Dayton. A gunman had opened fire in Dayton's crowded Oregon district. His military-style weapon allowed him to kill 9 people and wound 40 more in less than a minute. A month earlier in Dayton, a woman was killed by her husband in front of dozens of people in a dollar store parking lot. She had filed a restraining order against him a few days before. A few weeks ago, again in Dayton, a young black man was shot in the middle of the afternoon on a quiet street in a working-class neighborhood in our city. One of these 3 shootings made national news. The other 2 have become routine. All 3 represent a crisis of gun violence in our community that has continued unabated for years as Republicans, bought off by the NRA, block any reasonable gun safety bill. Like so many other communities across the country, Dayton bears the brunt of this national inaction. But the thing is, this is what we have come to expect in Dayton. To borrow a phrase from my good friend Sherrod Brown, Dayton is the canary in the coal mine. So often in our history, we have been at the forefront of issues facing our nation. But with that struggle, I believe comes a unique opportunity to set an example for our state and our country for how to govern as Democrats. People move to Dayton for opportunity. For decades, places like Dayton and all of Ohio provided the backbone of the American middle class through good-paying jobs, union jobs that required little more than a solid work ethic and a strong body. Immigrants from abroad and migrants from Appalachia and the Jim Crow South made Dayton their home, enriching our community in countless ways. Dayton and all of Ohio saw a huge growth in our middle class, with the support of a social safety net created by Democratic policies like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. But we all know where the story goes from there. Since the 1970s, we've seen globalization and automation decimate our local economies, driven by unfair trade deals and bad policies from Washington. Forces far beyond the control of local workers and leaders closed factories and sent good-paying jobs out of town. Our city began to hollow out because of policy choices made far away from Dayton City Hall. By the early 2000s, after rich Wall Street bankers and their conservative allies had gutted our manufacturing industry, they looked to fleece our homeowners as well. This summer has made it so clear to me that national issues have real impact on our local communities. The president's tweets aren't a joke anymore when the KKK shows up in your town. Climate change doesn't seem like some future threat when you walk past houses reduced to rubble. Gun violence stops being some cheap political debate when you go to a funeral of the mass shooting victims. When a flood destroyed our city, folks in Dayton couldn't count on anyone else to rebuild and protect their community. So they did it themselves. This is what I've learned this summer as mayor. As Democrats in Ohio, we can't wait for anyone else to solve our problems. We have to lead by example.